Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Bert McGurk, aka PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things.
I am Miami Mike from Miami, Florida.
Nice, man. How's the weather out there?
Beautiful, man. Absolutely gorgeous.
It just started getting nice over here in Long Island in New York, man. Like the past couple days, it was playing peekaboo with us, with the nice weather and whatnot, and then it would start raining or start like snowing a little bit and whatnot. And yeah, so today was finally really nice. It was like 60 degrees the whole day, and it looks like it's gonna stay like that for the next couple days. At least I'm hoping so. But well, anything else going out there in Miami? Anything happening right now? And
I'm not right now. Well, we do have spring break this week, so it gets a little crazy here in Miami for that, of course. So we're rolling right into the spring break week, man, and that's the current thing happening right now.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It gets crazy down there, right? Do you take part in anything, or you just stay away from all that crazy hecticness?
The only thing I take part in, man, is like Art Basel, and that's the main contender, man. That's the one I'm most interested in. But everything else, man, I stay away from, man. I live on the other side of Miami, where the real culture is. So
I hear you, man. What about that event grabs your attention?
Art Basel, for one, Miami is the number one city in crypto. So simultaneously as my journey was happening in Web3, I moved down here, and when I saw Art Basel, man, I met like so many people from the space just here in Miami. So it's been like an interesting journey.
That's dope. And is there anything that you do that's artistic that you would like to share with us, or any skills in art, whether it's drawing, painting, or creating rhymes or poems or anything like that? Do you have any artistic skills?
I do, man. I play a little bit of music. I write my own music, and I also write poetry. So
I like that. What type of music do you write?
Indie rock, mainly rock. Influenced by metal, of course. I used to roadie for a metal band out in Eastern Kentucky.
Really? How was that? How'd that come about?
Man, like I said, I've been playing music my whole life, and it's something I'm always interested in. And one of my buddies hit me up a few years ago, and I was living out in Oregon, and he's like, "Hey man, you ever find yourself out in Kentucky? I always have a gig for you to be a roadie." So it finally happened a few years later, man. I moved down there, and my day job, I was working at a restaurant, and on the side I was just roadieing for his band.
That's crazy. And how long was that for?
Oh dude, I did that for a year. It was pretty wild.
And how was it? Did you really like it? Was it one of those things that after you did it, you're like, all right, I'm over it after the second day? Or was it something that you were like, you know what, I'm looking forward to sticking this out and just riding it through the end?
It was pretty interesting, but it's pretty much just sleeping in a van with a bunch of sweaty dudes.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So what else besides music and checking out other events that have to do with art? What tell us more about you and what you like to do, so people could get a better idea of who you are as a person, as a creator, as an artist, and so people can relate to you more.
Sure, absolutely. So my true identity is I'm a line cook. I've been in the food and beverage industry for 18 years. My day job is I'm a line cook. I cook in various kitchens, and I've always thought of myself as a creator of artist of food. So I think first inspiration has started in the kitchen, and that's the way I kind of translate art, but with this food.
I like that. And what's your favorite type of food, either to cook or eat?
Oh, dude, no doubt about it. It's gonna be steaks, number one, man. So I love it, man, dude. I was a pit master out in Eugene, Oregon, and it was pretty dope.
How is that? I hear a lot about pit masters. I've seen videos and whatnot. I've seen I can't say I've seen many videos. I know I've seen competitions and whatnot of what are the competitions that's called? They're like smokers though. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, well, so traditionally the way I was taught, I met this guy named Steve out in Eugene or Springfield, Oregon, actually, and he had a concept called the Kona Cafe. They were originally from the Bay Area of San Francisco, but him and his wife Julie lived in Hawaii for 20 years. So what they did is they brought this concept from Hawaii back to the roots of Oregon, and it was a stripped out custom pit trailer that he kind of like stripped out, right? Had a bicycle wheel where you can kind of lower the racks. So the whole technique of this was called huli huli cooking. So he would take these mesquite charcoal, right? He would crush it with the back end of a shovel, and he would cast these stones out. It was a whole entire technique, and they would stay like this cherry red throughout the whole day of cooking. So it was like Louisiana baby back ribs, tri-tip beef, man, and this holy chicken, just kind of marinating in a pineapple sauce that he had of his own. It was really cool, and it was outdoor, of course.
It sounds really good. That all sounds really delicious. I never really had any like. Would you say that's like a traditional Hawaiian type thing, or do you think he just like made his own like combination?
It was definitely heavily influenced because the way that like even I researched like the way that they were doing it in Hawaii, they had these like these pits like his, but they were very low to the ground. You know, they were ground level. So his was kind of raised up on a bed. But it was very heavily influenced and close enough to what he experienced out in Hawaii, still with his own twist and being creative, of course.
That's cool. How long did you do that? How long were you a pitmaster?
I was a pitmaster for a year.
And how was that? Did you like what's did you learn any special like techniques or anything in that you still use till this day? I mean, is there any techniques of being a pit master you can use without actually going through the whole process of digging a pit and doing all that, or
More of a cooking process, but my background is very unique just in culinary in general. I've already been familiar with steaks because I come from corporate trainer Texas Roadhouse. I worked in major corporations for steakhouses. I've already been trained enough on cooking $150,000 worth of steak a week. So what he was able to teach me, it just kind of kept me sharp, and I learned the technique of casting stones. I've never seen it before because I did a little bit of barbecuing, working at a restaurant out in Eastern Kentucky, and completely different styles. So it all translates in some way.
I got you. And having experience in a little bit of like all these different styles of cooking and whatnot, have you been able to come up with your own or your own special recipe or your own technique, or discovered something on your own that you feel like is really unique that you haven't seen anybody else do, that you kind of make your own little signature thing?
Absolutely. I just had a conversation last night with a VeeFriend's member. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, so I grew up on traditional style, what I call the tri-state area of South Jersey, North Jersey, Philadelphia, and that's like pizza, and that's like Rubens, that's clubs, that's wrap, that's comfort food, right? I've always tried to introduce that type of food out in the West Coast or out in southern or eastern Kentucky because they've never seen that type of traditional style food. It's yet so simple, but it just reminds me of home.
I hear you, man. I really like that too. I like anything that reminds me of home, whether it's like there's always a lot of things that make it like nostalgic and stuff, and I feel like food really does that very strongly, especially like when you're younger. I don't know if you've had this, but I've been the type of person that when I was younger and I tried eating certain foods I didn't want to, but then when I got older, those foods that I didn't want to eat are the ones that I can't stop having enough of as I grow up. There was a lot of things that I remember my parents used to have to fight to get me to eat that now I'm like dying to eat for whatever reason. I don't know if there's anything specific that you've ever had growing up that's like that.
Absolutely, dude. It was always the Philadelphia cheesesteak. Like I have great
Yes.
memories of my dad and I, like ever since I was a young kid, like growing up in Northeast Philadelphia. Like everything about the Philadelphia cheesesteak comes down to the roll, right? It's very traditional in Philadelphia. You can't really find that anywhere else in the United States. It's
Yeah,
classic.
man. And so besides for cooking, what else do you have going on that you feel gives people a good idea of who you are in the situation that you're in right now, of what you're working on or what you're working towards?
Currently, I'm not working on a whole lot. I've been in Web3 for the last 3 years, so I'm always trying to bring like a creative twist and a part of storytelling about what I actually do. So I'm really trying to connect the story of like line cooking and bringing that into Web3 and mixing like artistry and stuff behind that because to the core, that's just who I am. And if I can some way involve like poetry or music surrounded with that, I still haven't found a way to correlate that, and I'm still trying.
And is there anything that you lean towards more, like you favor more than the other, or do you think that you're just trying to find a good even common ground between all of those and combine them all together? Or if you had to choose, which one would you choose? Would it be the music? Would it be the cooking? Like,
Man, I guess I'm just trying to balance that, dude, and just swim towards the waves, bro, and bring it all in together, you know. So it's not like I'm not chasing a little bit too much of this or that. I'm just kind of standing on the plank in the middle and kind of balancing that all in, and just all around, all surrounding areas, and embracing it.
and what inspired you to start doing any of that? What inspired you to get into cooking, or what inspired you to get into music?
Dude, I mean, I'll tell you the real story. Like, I mean, I got into cooking because like I dropped out of high school and I needed a job. And like, I mentioned I grew up in Philadelphia, but when I was 15 years old, my mom and I, we moved to like Bucks County out in Pennsylvania, and then I dropped out of high school, and like the area that we lived in, there was a place called Mike's Pizzeria, and I was like, I don't know what compelled me to go there, but like I remember walking in there and answering the phones and like doing that for a year and then like slowly getting introduced to the kitchen, and then like 8 years went on past that. I was like, I'm pretty good at this, and I stuck with it. And the music, I think that was just an outlet, just in general, man. Most of my friends played music in high school, and I just picked it up one day, like percussion in the ninth grade. I played violin when I was in middle school. I was a drum captain when I was in the seventh grade, and it just progressed like cooking. I was just more interested in it as I've gotten older.
And what was the first, like your first music artist, or your first, like, I guess, teacher in cooking? Like, what was it, your boss there? Was it another employee because your boss didn't have the time or didn't want to? Like, because I did line cooking also, but I guess I didn't take it as seriously as you did. I did it. Hold on, sorry, my mic is acting up. I didn't take it as seriously as you did. It was just, I was in a situation where I needed work, and I had a friend who did cooking, but he took it extremely seriously. Like, he really likes cooking and trying out different recipes and like all this stuff. And he'll work in like 4 or 5 different restaurants at once and just bounce around. And like, that was his thing. That's his world. That's his life. And
Yeah,
at a time that I needed work, he got me work as a to do dishwashing. So at first I started with that, and then little by little they started needing help. It was a thing where I literally was so desperate for work that I was like, yo, whatever position has the most hours, I'm going to go for it. So at first I was just washing dishes, and then it got to the point that I started noticing people kept calling out, and they were always shorthanded on prepping. So then I asked my friend, I told him, I was like, yo, like, how much does prepping pay? And then he told me, I was like, yes, a lot more than what I'm getting paid now doing dishes. I was like, what is it? He goes, yo, it's mad simple. You just cut up this, you do this. So then I told him, I was like, yo, listen, I'm going to get one of my paychecks. And, with that money, I'm going to go and get some of the stuff. And you teach me how to cut. You teach me. He goes, really? But he took it like I wanted to learn how to cook. I just looked at it like, yo, this is a job that I think I could do. I just need to learn how to not cut my fucking fingers and like do it sufficiently enough where I'm fast enough to keep up and be useful. But at the same time, I'm not going to fucking kill myself. So, that's the way that I looked at it. But then what started happening is I went from just taking it serious in the sense of I just wanted a good job that paid good. So then I started getting catch up on it, and I started getting addicted to like whenever dinner time rush came and like the hecticness of a kitchen, and from always hearing behind and yes chef and all this, you know what I mean, and the heat and all that stuff is like it's fucking crazy, because at first it was like one of those things that it was like annoying, but then it gets like really addicting, and you kind of look for, as much as it's really chaotic, you look forward to it. And I went from washing dishes to being a prep to then being on the line, and
yeah,
it took a while, but it was a thing that like the more I got into it, I fell into it, not really noticing that I was like really just I was really like absorbing everything. And little by little I was like, yo, I'm kind of starting to understand why people like this. But it just got to a point to me that it got a little too hectic, and my anxiety, like it got to the point that anxiety wise it was just a little too much for me, and I had to like step back from it. But I
sure.
know that the person who taught me was my friend Matt, and it was because he was like just in love with it, and that's the way I got into it. At first I went from just, oh, I just need a regular job, so then little by little he started teaching me things, and I started getting better. It was to the point that while I was on the line, I was so horrible at remembering things. I would write little post-it notes of how to put the plate together, and I would have them posted. Like, you know, when you put the orders, they would get so mad because they would get confused. They're like, "What the fuck is?" And I'm the only idiot there with like instructions on how to put a fucking plate together. Like, it was crazy. But anyway, I say all that to ask, who was your person who introduced you, who taught you how to cut and cook and all that?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I want to touch on a few things. You said a lot of things that I resonate with, right? Now that I'm older, man, now that I've been doing this for one, I'm an adrenaline junkie. That's why I love the kitchen. That's why I'm tattooed. I'm addicted to the adrenaline. And that's the truth behind why I love working in the kitchen, okay? When I was younger, one of my friends, Joey, like after high school, he was working at the sandwich shop and he got me a job. And he was a couple years older than me. And I remember like minimum wage back then was like, dude, like $8 an hour. I was like, yeah, I was like, I thought that was amazing. Like, $8 an hour, like 30 hours a week. I thought I hit the jackpot, bro. Just making sub sandwiches. And I really learned a lot from him when I was younger. But here's the thing though, the truth is I didn't take it serious for a long time. I was like, it's just a job. Right. So I think like I was at a younger mindset and I was just like, but I always stuck with it because after he showed me, like I went to like McCormick and Schmick's down in Center City, Philadelphia. That was a lot nicer. And I was a dishwasher. And then I got a little humbled that way because like dishwashing's hard. And then I was, like I said, I've always been attracted to like the kitchen itself. It's chaotic, man. You have to be forthright, outspoken. And that's a little bit of my character and identity, who I am, man. Like I was able to utilize and break out of my shell by being in the kitchen, by being loud and assertive and confident. So it helped me build this character who I am today by just utilizing the kitchen, basically, you know? So yeah, dude, when you're talking about things like that, I know exactly what that means. But now, like, dude, I'm about to be 36 next week, and like I'm 18 years in this industry. And where I'm at, I should have been like ahead of the game. But I just recently, in the last maybe like 7 years, started to take this real serious, man, and like truly learn from the best chefs, and really take this thing really far. But it's interesting to talk about it in that way, man, because it's a hate love relationship. I love the industry so much, but I hate it as well. Doesn't mean I hate my job. I hate the toxic energy that comes from the kitchen itself.
No, I know what you mean. It's like you're mentioning the adrenaline, and it was one of those things that I understand where you're coming from, and I think it wasn't the adrenaline or the fast pace of work or the pressure of having to hurry up, you know what I mean? Because I think that's what it is, of knowing that people are waiting on you and you having to, like, you know what I'm saying? But being that it's so repetitive, you get this like muscle memory that you feel like you feel like a superhero. You're just doing things that
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and it's like you think you're gonna mess up, or you think you're gonna bump into someone or spill something about, but at the same time, it's like your instincts are like, nah, I got you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And like you go in this autopilot mode where you just start doing stuff, and you're not even thinking about it. It's just happening, and you're just going with the flow of it, which is one of the things that I really loved about the environment of the kitchen, the fast pace and all that. But I think it's the environment as far as like employees and in not everyone has a good day, you know what I mean? And sometimes they forget that they have to leave that shit at the door. You know what I mean? And then you'll go to work ready to work and ready to take the day on, and then someone else's bad energy fucks up your whole flow, and then you don't even want to be there, and then it starts snowballing to I don't want to be here. Then you start questioning why am I here? Why am I gonna stay here? What's the point? Like, you know what I mean? Like it starts going from one thing to another, and it goes from being an enjoyable experience and something you should be having fun with to just like, you know what I mean? You just don't want to be there. And it's not anything about the food. It's not anything about the business. It's just about there's other people that either they don't respect it as much or take it as seriously as you do. You know what I mean? And they tend to forget that, everyone's there and they're all there to do the same thing, to work and make money. But at the same time, if they find some joy in it and they, actually have a passion for it, you got to respect it. You got to let them do their thing. You know what I mean? Because some people, they'll fuck it up. They'll fuck up the whole energy and the vibe for you, and it gets to the point that they'll turn you off of something that little do you know you're the next fucking Gordon Ramsay or some shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
things like that. And it just sucks. Maybe that day was the day you're gonna make some freaking secret sauce and make one of the best fucking steaks of your life. You know what I mean? And it all goes off because you're daydreaming because you're having a bad day, and then things get cooked a little too much or something. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
things like that. But I know what you
yeah.
mean, man. I really love that environment also, and but it was something like after a while, like I said, it's the people. Sometimes the people kind of mess it up for you, and I had to like distance myself from it.
Well, Chef Anthony Bourdain said the kitchen culture is a bit like jail and kindergarten, and he's so right when he described it in that way because the kitchen can be an intimidating place for folks who haven't been a line cook, and it's a pretty intimidating place to be in, and you have to be confident, and you got to walk the talk, but you also got to play. You got to play nice, and leadership is not about being the best. Leadership is about bringing everybody around you up, not about being the best out of everybody. So man, just like exactly the way you summarized and articulated the culture, man, is exactly how it is.
And what I wanted to ask you next, what is there any type of like besides for steaks, you know what I mean? Because I know that has to deal with certain restaurants and stuff. Is there
Yeah,
a specific I don't know how to say the line or like specific type of food because like I said, doing sandwiches, doing steaks and different cuisines, you're in different environments, you'll
yeah.
either be in a deli, you'll be in a food truck, you'll be in a restaurant, you'll be, you know what I mean? Have you worked in different versions of a kitchen? And if so, what was your favorite one and what was your least favorite?
Sure. So the way I break this down is like when I was younger, I used to be a short order cook, and that is just the most basic type of cooking. I worked in fine dining. I worked for made from scratch kitchens. I worked for huge corporations like Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn. I worked in mom and pop shops. So yes, I worked in about every type of area of cooking. I worked in fancy places where I was doing saute and cooking 13 dishes on rotation with pots and pans and flipping dishes in that way. So like my favorite thing actually, and it's pretty recent, and what I mastered was saute. And that was a lot of fun, man, because that requires a little bit more skill and kind of a thought out process when you're cooking professionally in that way. And the least favorite thing, maybe it's something as simple when I worked at Texas Roadhouse and we're baking bread. It was a little bit repetitive and boring.
I get you. And what was the most influential on you as far as like environment wise? Which job do you feel like you learned the most or got the most experience that you're like, you know what, I'm never gonna forget this?
I met this really cool cat down in Boca Raton named JD Eubanks, and I didn't know who he was until I worked for him. And he actually is a very famous musician, and he's very well known in the food industry. So Chef JD Eubanks, man, from Louisiana, he worked at a place called Antoine's, very famous restaurant. There was this place down in Boca, it was like some type of like Mexican restaurant that was brand new. And as I worked with him, he started to tell me a story. I was like, oh, I was like, this guy's like really well known in the industry, but very cool, very laid back. JD kind of took me underneath his wing and just like kind of brushed up a lot of the weaker skills that I had and kind of brought them out and refined them with me and taught me a lot of technique.
I like that, man. And did you make do you think like the people that you met and that you worked with or that you learned from, do you still keep in contact with them today? Have you made friendships with them, or was it just like a professional exchange as far as learning technique and learning skills and that was it?
A bit of both. There's one guy, my buddy Stamatios from South New Jersey. I worked for him and his buddy, or him and his brother Manuel, when I was like 23, and I still talk to the both of them, and it's really cool because like I haven't seen him in such a long time, but we're on social media, we talk on the phone, and we still stay in touch, man. It's really cool.
That's what's up, man. And a lot of people may not know, but we know each other through VeeFriends. And
Right.
VCon is coming up again. There's many events that have happened. There's many things from the cards, the pins, the clothes, the NFTs, the merch, as far as the plushies and 6-inch figures and all that stuff like that. Is there anything related to VeeFriends that you feel has helped or added value to you, in the sense that you've been able to use that in a way to benefit with your cooking or your music writing, or even just in general with your life, where it's just helped you in a positive way?
Absolutely, like all of that, bro. I think VeeFriends, like when it started for me, man. Well, I've been a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk since like the Vayner Nation days of 2015. So I've always followed Gary. And when we were watching Gary sometime back 3 years ago draw these mock characters and not really explaining anything, right? And like opening this social media world on Discord. I never used Discord, and it was like VeeFriends, and we're like, whoa, what is VeeFriends, bro? And like, and I still at that. I only heard of the trend of NFTs, and I wasn't even ready, and I didn't even understand what an NFT was. So it took a little bit of time for me to kind of research. But because of Gary, and putting out all the information out there, dude, I took a while, and I learned like what blockchain was, what Web3 was, and I came back to it, man, and surrounded myself with VeeFriends. But yes, it's definitely influenced my life today, man. Gary's definitely influenced my life. VeeFriends has such an impact on my life today, just by the community, man. Dude, dude, this community is strong. I've met so many people, and been in their temporary homes and at in VCon, man. We're about to go to LA this year. But yes, bro. I mean, it's been such a fun journey.
Nah, yeah, I gotta agree, man. The community is something else, and it was the same for me. I remember following fucking Gary from I don't even know how far back, and it was a little bit in the beginning of those years, also in the sense of Vayner Nation, and he first started doing like the vlogs with D Rock and all that stuff like that, and it was something that, I'm not gonna lie, the first time he came up on my screen, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what the fuck? Like, literally, like, because what happened was, is like I would always stay up late, and I would always see him come up, but I would never click on it. It was just his face. Like, I would always see his fucking face, and I would always just be like, keep scrolling. And then one day at like 3 in the morning, I just see his face again like this. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, just his face that he kept having in his titles. I'm like, I was just getting annoyed because I looked at it like, this is some other influencer dude trying to sell some shit. And then I gave in and I started watching it. And then I never forget, like, the first video that I watched of him, at the end of it, I was like, yo, I hate the fact that I liked it so much, because I went into it wanting to hate it. Like, I felt like he was just gonna say some shit like, fuck you, buy my shit. Like, like, your life's gonna suck unless you buy this, or like, and it was like the complete opposite, and it totally threw me off. And then like it just got to the things where it became like a daily thing of me consuming his content, and then like I just fell into the whole VeeFriends, V fam world, and NFTs and VeeFriends, and Gary, and like, it was the same for me. It was an entry point into Discord, into NFTs, into blockchain. Like, I knew about crypto, but I didn't know about this whole NFT shit and how it could be something else on top of it, and it could still, all of it. After not only learning about Web3 and crypto and NFTs and all that possibility, that I was like, oh, I didn't know that existed. The other thing that really shocked me was the community side of everything. Especially the VeeFriends community. I didn't think, like, a lot of it seems like all hype and all bullshit, but when you go to VCon and you see these people in person, and you see that it's not just a post, it's not just them doing shit for likes or attention, like, it's really these people down to the core. It really gets to you in some way, man, because, like, especially if you haven't really been around that in your life, and I've been a person that I've had a really shitty life growing up, as far as being a kid and being around a lot of negative shit. And so to be around other people my age that can relate or understand, or they relate to you, not even by saying, listen, I know, I understand. Like, they don't have to literally say it. It's just things that they do, or things that they say, or how they respond or listen or react, and like, you feel safe, you feel like you're around people who understand. Meanwhile, you don't know them from a fucking hole in the wall, and that's the crazy shit. But yeah, I gotta agree with you that the community and everything of VeeFriends, that's been a big part of my life as well, and why I'm into a lot of things and why I'm taking things more seriously with content creating and podcasting, speaking with amazing people such as yourself, and trying to do whatever I can to just make people more aware that people such as you and myself and these communities or these projects or whatever, that they exist. Because a lot of people, they really don't know about it. You know what I mean? Like, instead of giving VeeFriends a chance, they'll hear the words blockchain or NFT or crypto, and it turns them off just because they've had bad experiences or they haven't been properly informed. So
Mhm.
automatically anything that's tied to those words, they automatically look at it like it's a scam, it's this, it's that, it's not worth it, it's temporary, you know, like. So I feel like if people start understanding that VeeFriends or the community is something more than just an NFT or something that they can flip for money, I feel like a lot of people could benefit from it. A lot of people's lives will be a little less stressful in a way where I feel like it's just, it feels good to know you're not alone. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. I remember like one of my best friends that I've known. Well, like we're not friends anymore, but we were friends for like 12 years, and like I learned everything about Gary Vee from him, bro. And like being like in my younger 20s, bro, he would always bring up Gary Vee, and so about 3 or 4 years ago, I'm sitting in his kitchen, right, and he goes, Mike, I just have a feeling one day you're gonna meet Gary Vee. I'm like, yeah, okay, bro, it's never gonna happen. And like, as you're familiar with a lot of things, Gary helped me out tremendously. Just a little while ago, I was going through a tough situation where I had this autoimmune disease. And I was really sick, man. And Gary was just so generous to really help me out in a financial way of giving me $2,500 so I could have this surgery that I desperately needed, man. And it was just a really, really nice thing, man, that he was able to do that for me in the moment because of who he is, man. And I've gotten to like I'm of course like we I don't know Gary Vaynerchuk like personally, man, but like you feel like we like know a side of him from VeeFriends, and being involved in his NFT project, man. And the fact that he was so kind to do that, dude, it really helped me and changed my life, man. So it's been such a huge impact in my life.
Yeah, man. I remember I'm pretty sure we spoke I don't know if it was the same day that you saw him at VCon or was the day after or something, and you explained
Oh
to me
yeah,
how you met him at, yeah. I think I got that conversation on video or something also. I gotta look for it, but I think I got that where you talked about it and everything like that. But
wow,
yeah,
yeah,
man, I've been keeping up with your story. I've been seeing what you've been going through. That's another thing that I wanted to ask you next, is to share a little bit about that for people who aren't, aware of that. It's me, and I've heard of it, but I've never known anyone personally that's experienced any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's
yeah,
me. And I've had to get I haven't gotten it done because I'm too scared to do it. I'm
sure,
supposed to go get a disectomy, which is somewhat similar to what, like, in the sense of where your scar is,
yeah,
where they go in and they do like lasering and all that. So the first one I did was on the side, and it was a little smaller procedure. It was like a little hole or something.
hmm,
And they tried because I have in between your spinal cords, you know how there's like a little pouch of like liquid that it helps disperse the pressure and all that. Mine,
hmm,
between my C6 and C7 vertebrae, I tore it. And the thing is when they tear, they don't fix. That's it. It's just torn. So the thing is that happens is that your the vertebrae that is one on top of each other, and there's nothing separating the pressure, so they start fusing together. So what they had to do is, being that my disc is also sticking out, so it's causing a disc herniation, but it's also fusing together. So I constantly have to do like all these different things to keep it from like getting fused together, but at the same time, it's also causing herniation, which is stopping me from doing more mobility and certain things. So I've done like all the other things except the real surgery. I've done shoulder surgery. I've done the epidural injections. I've done all that stuff to try and avoid the surgery that I really need to get. The one that they're saying that I need to get, being that the pouch or whatever that there's a certain name for it, I forget, that it's ruined. They want to basically take off the C6 and C7 vertebrae and replace it with two metal ones, and in between it's going to be like a little metal ball, so I will still be able to move my neck and everything. That's the first option. If not, the second one is they just keep them there, but they take like a metal bracket and they put it there, and my neck won't have any real mobility. It's just going to be straightforward. So basically, it's like I'm wearing the old 1989 Batman mask, and I have to move my shoulders to move my neck. That's the other. So I haven't done it because both of them are kind of crazy. They're on your spine and all that, and I just don't get it. So I've gotten all these other things, but the actual surgery, because doing anything near that area, because the way that they show the surgery is basically like yours. They go in through the front. There's a scar there, and they go through your neck, basically to get to your spine, and that's how they work through it. And it just all scares the shit out of me. So I say all of that because I've been through the issue that you've shared, in the sense of going to the hospital multiple times, complaining about the same thing, them really not knowing what the hell is going on, and instead of them admitting they don't know what's going on, they just make it seem like you don't know what you're talking about and there's nothing wrong with you. You know, and
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean? And then it's not, with the way things are now, you get to run around with insurance of what they can cover, what they won't cover. You know what I mean? First, you think you have this type of insurance, then you get there, and when the actual situation happens, they tell you, no, that's not the case. And it's like, when did that happen? When didn't you tell me? And so I
Right.
share all that because I've been through it. I understand what you're going through. Um,
Right.
but I just never took it as far as getting the full procedure, which is why I wanted to hear more about your story, you know, how it came about, you know what I mean? Because you've looked like a healthy guy, you know what I mean? You wouldn't expect you to be going through all these fucking problems with health and hospitals, and you know what I mean? So tell us more about us. I mean, tell us more about it and what's going on.
Wow, dude. It's been a wild 5 months, my friend, and this all started a while back. These were some issues that I was kind of ignoring, but the first time I could remember was last year. I did take a break from the restaurant industry for a bit. I was working at Web3, working here in Miami for an NFT company, and I remember a few times I was having these, I don't know, felt like panic attacks, right? A few times I questioned to myself that they were heart attacks, and I felt so close to it, and I ignored them. Well, going back about roughly 5 months ago, the week before November 11th, I was having a really bad toothache, and I was taking a lot of aspirin. And I was talking to my buddy, and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I haven't been really feeling too well." And he's like, "What's going on, dude?" I'm like, "Heart's racing really hard, bro." I said, "It feels really weird, man. Just go to the hospital." I was kind of scared, right? It wasn't until a week after, right? I happened to be off on a Saturday from work. I'm dead asleep, bro. I wake up and my heart's just pounding out of my chest, bro. And I wake up and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this does not feel normal. I went to the hospital. Uh, I was there for an hour. All these doctors were around me, man. They looked very concerned. They had me hooked up to all these things. And his doctor goes, "I got some bad news." I was like, "What's up, bro? Just shoot it to me straight." He's like, "There's something really bad going on with your thyroid. We have to transfer you to the other hospital and put you in ICU." And I was like, "Oh, dude," I'm like, "that doesn't sound really too good." So they did a really good job at keeping me calm, but they put me in ICU for 4 days, which was very scary. And they diagnosed me with something called like this autoimmune disease. And the proper diagnosis that I got was Graves' disease. I've never heard of these words. I'm like, what is that? They're like, it's hyperthyroidism. I'm like, what is hyperthyroidism? They're like, basically like this, Mike. Your thyroid has this functionality in everybody's body, but yours is doing 100 miles per hour and it could kill you. So they put me on a beta blocker that it was like to slow down my heart. Their main concern was that my heart was at 140 heartbeats. It was going so fast, and it was just very, very bad. And they thought I was going into something called a thyroid storm, which could have been really, 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 really bad. So from that day forward, man, I was actually in ICU for 4 days. I got released with doctors like I was actually flying to New York to actually see Gary Vee on his birthday, and I said, "Am I able to go and do this thing?" They're like, "You should be fine because your follow up appointment after this is not until like 2 weeks, and you're on this medicine, so you should be fine." So I actually gained like around like 35 pounds, bro. When I was sick, dude, I got down to 138 pounds, and that's because an autoimmune disease really messes with your metabolism. So I used to have a really fast metabolism in general, but the autoimmune disease made it that much more difficult. And the way doctors explained to me was when I ate food, it almost simultaneously just bust. And my body just ate everything up. And it was really hard for me to gain weight. But I took that as a personal challenge. So I'll call my friend Ryan, who's a dietitian, in a VeeFriends community, and I said, "Hey Ryan, I'm going through this really hard thing right now, and I researched this autoimmune disease, and I really want to put on some weight because doctors are telling me I can't do it, but I just want to feel better in general." So Ryan was able to refine my diet just a little bit more of what I researched, man. And I was crushing like 3,500 calories a day for like 4 or 5 months straight, 165 grams of protein. And I was able to put on this weight, but it had no reflection to what was going on with my thyroid. So I just did that to feel better because wellness was like very important. And that's the way I was able to help myself. And I talk about something called being your own advocate. And what that really means is like showing up for yourself, and it's self accountability. So as you're going through something really, really tough, it's very, very personal and it's very challenging. I had to help myself at the same time to stay sane, you know, and I wasn't working for a long time because I couldn't. And as weeks progressed after my diagnosis, I started to have these worse and worse symptoms of palpitations and even more medicine and more doctor's visits and being in and out of the hospital and learning to be my own advocate with all this stuff. And it basically came down to me having surgery, which we talked about insurance and everything. So that happened all within, a 4 months, 5 months span, and we got to the very end of it. And I'll tell you that what's really most important, what led up to Gary V, is that I had to go see a special doctor, and he's an endocrinologist, right? He's the right doctor. He studies in thyroidism, right? He studies about your thyroid. He's the one to give you actual answers. So, like I said, basically my thyroid was doing 100 miles per hour. 75 to 80% of women have thyroid issues. You don't really find a lot of males who have Graves' disease. It's usually found in a lot of women. We found out my mother has Graves' disease, and it was hereditary, and I got it through her. So that's how I got this thing, but it really slowed me down a lot and changed my life drastically. So basically, we got all the way up to going and seeing some surgeons at the Miami Cancer Institute, which was it was a very interesting process, my friend, with that. And we got down. I saw them. It was like, hey, we can do surgery, and they were like, we can do surgery like in a week, and I was just kind of blown away. I was like, wow, okay, we can do it so fast. So I got really, really excited. I'm like, yeah, man, we're gonna have surgery. I'm gonna be able to get through this thing and recover. And then bang, it comes down to the insurance. It comes down to money, and they were asking for a lot of money to have surgery. And I was like, I don't have this type of money that you guys are asking me to come up with in 1 week. And I didn't know what to do. And a great community member of ours, Peg Moore, I was talking to her that Saturday morning. I said, Peg, I'm like, what am I going to do? She's like, you can put together a GoFundMe. I'm like, I did the GoFundMe around Christmas, and I asked people for help, and they were able to help me. And I already felt bad because it was already around Christmas, and I don't want to take money from people and their families. And I feel quite a bit embarrassed a little bit. And she's like, Mike, she's like, look, sometimes people need help. And she's like, you're a good guy, and I think people are willing to help you. So she's like, just give it a try. She gave me that little push. So I did. I humbled myself. But again, going back to the accountability, dude, I was just like, what am I going to do? Okay. Gary V gave me these NFTs. I don't want to sell them, but I want to show people that I'm willing enough to sacrifice these types of things to help myself. So I wrote out a tweet, and I was like, I tagged Gary, I tagged VeeFriends, and I got like a little bit of attention, and I'm like talking to somebody in the comments, and then bang, I see Gary go, yo, hey man, hold on to these NFTs. I'm going to give you $2,500 for your surgery. And I'm like, I'm like, are you fucking serious, bro? I was just flabbergasted, bro. Completely fucking flabbergasted. I'm like, bro, it made me tear up, man. And because it was right there. It was over. I was going to get the help that I needed, man. I was going to be able to progress and live my life and get out of this hellish thing that I was enduring for such a long time.
Nah, I fucking love that, man. I love that. And I love, it's the community, bro. It's crazy, because if it wasn't for the community, you wouldn't have met Peg, I'm sure. And it's people like that have the bravery to put themselves out there, like Peg did, in the sense of creating a GoFundMe, and asking for help, she's 100% right. You know, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong. You know, we all need help at some time. And that's the thing that kind of really started attracting me to the communities of the Web3 space, especially VeeFriends, most definitely VeeFriends, because I don't think there's any other community like VeeFriends. I don't think there's any other community where you can speak to someone about your problems and they'll come to you with a solution instead of being like, oh, that sucks. You get what I'm saying? Like, she
Sure.
gave you options and she gave you an idea. You get what I mean? And it was something that you could have went another way with it and maybe something else would have happened, but you still relied or you still turned to people that you don't even know these people. You get what I'm saying? Whether Gary answered or not, I guarantee you would have sold those or you would have came up with someone who would have donated something. You know what I mean? That's just the way that the VeeFriends community is. But
You
it's
would have
just
figured.
the fact that it's the fact that they've that it's that space exists, that these people are there and that you know that they're there is just something that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's really a mind fuck to know that it's just crazy to see people care in general, period. You know what I'm saying? It's like Peg said, like it was during the holidays and she wouldn't expect anyone to help or anything like, but they did. You know what I mean? And it's you would think like, yo, this is my problem. It's not anyone. And little do you know, you had someone sitting there and you don't think he pays attention. And Gary, out of all the messages and everything that he gets, is kind of crazy. And people don't believe it, but it's him. It's really fucking him on his phone and he's texting and
Yeah.
responding back to people. And it's crazy that you see that he's paying attention to his community, his people, and the people who support his shit. And that's what I really love about what he does. He's really loud about it. He doesn't really have he doesn't make up excuses. You know what I mean? If he could do something, he does it. You know what I mean? He leads by example. He talks a lot about people doing the right thing or not wasting
Yeah.
time or energy. And he leads by example. And that's something I really love about him and the community, man. But
Yeah.
what's something else? So what happened after that? You got the surgery, you did what you needed to do, you know what I mean? And how was that? How did that go?
So I got the surgery, bro, and I was nervous, of course. My dad was scared for me. I was scared. I never so like I'm all right. Here we are. We show up, and I'm pre-op, and like I'm happy, and I'm in a good mood. And my dad just looks at me, and he's like, he's really empathetic, and he's upset. And he's like, man, like I know you've been through a lot. I said, no, Dad. I said, I'm really happy. I said, I went through all this shit, right? And like here we are, and we're about to have surgery, and I'll see you in a few hours because it's finally over. And he goes, he kind of looks at me, kind of puzzled. He's like, how can you feel like that? I'm like, because I've already went through the worst, Dad. You know what I mean? I've already processed this mentally. Like I was going through it for like a while, man. Like, and I'm excited now because now, like, just because I've taken so many things for granted, man. I'm like, now I'm going to be able to just have a normal routine and have a life again without all these complications, because that's what happens, man. When you're kind of versed in this thing and you're challenged, and it's like, all right, well, there's this thing you can't have anymore because like now you're sick, and it comes down to your health. It's like, damn, dude, I fucked up so much. I don't want to ever put my health in jeopardy anymore. It's the first thing, and it's the priority in everything that I do now, man. I eat better. I've been taking care of myself, bro. And if without your health, what do you have? So I remember just getting wheeled in, man, to the operating table, bro. And I remember just like sitting up at that table, and my heart's racing, very nervous, bro. And I look up, and there's these giant lights, and I'm kind of nervous. And this dude puts this mask on me, and then bang, like I wake up. I'm like, that's it.
It's crazy,
That's it,
yeah.
kid.
It's surgery.
What you doing?
People think it's like this like weird epic adventure or something. It literally feels like you just blinked. It feels like you blinked and you're awake. You're like, what happened? They're like, it's done. You're like, what? Like, it's a. Did you do But did you do anesthesia or did you do like something else?
No, they put me. It was deep anesthesia. The guy came back. He's like, you're gonna be under. Like you're gonna be like really under. So they put me to sleep. And that's where my dad was nervous. You know what I mean? Because there's like twilight and there's like what. So I remember just like waking up or something, and I remember them wheeling me back, and I'm trying to get up, and this dude pushes me back, and he goes, "Damn, that anesthesia was good, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I was like recovering for 2 days, bro, and the recovery wasn't really that bad. Dude, they gave me like a bunch of Jello, and whatever I wanted. You know what I mean? The nurses
So
were
so what is it exactly that they operated on? Like in
Well,
like
yeah. So your thyroid is right near your vocal cords in your throat. So like it's this organ, man. Like my thyroid was inflamed. It was like this. They said. And so they cut in right into your neck. The surgeons I actually found out were some of the best surgeons in Miami, and these two surgeons who operated on me, they wrote a book about Graves' disease actually, and they're very very humble men. So I actually had the best surgeons, bro, that you could ever have in a case like mine. And I didn't have any staples. They just glued my neck shut, which is absolutely amazing, man. Like the scar is
wait,
so light.
hold on. What the fuck? Hold on. You can't just glide through that like it's nothing. So
Yeah, they like
they didn't staple, they didn't stitch. They glued what?
yeah, they like so like some like derma bond that I had to wear for like 1 week, and they glue like they stretch like your skin like I remember like going like asking about it, and then like they just glue your whole entire incision cut, and the incision you can see, man, it's rather I've seen some people photos like they were cut all the way across,
What the
and
fuck?
they're like my friends go, "That's it? That's your scar?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like,
Yeah,
and
but
it
even
hides
then,
in the shirt collar.
man, fuck that. Don't let anyone say like it's all that's it. That's that even that thing right there is a lot, bro. Like I can't even touch that area without it being like you know what I mean? Like I can't even imagine like
Yeah,
I'm still
yeah.
trying to wrap my head around this whole glue shit. I've never heard that before.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
where 2024, man. This is some shit. I don't. Oh my god. But
It's like
you just imagine you just got Jello pouring out your neck from the fucking.
yeah. I mean, the cello, it's like
Just
pouring out my neck. I'm like catching it.
they didn't put enough glue.
There you go.
But so how long was the healing process?
Really the healing was like, dude, really like 2 weeks. It only took 2 weeks for me to be back and like and normal. So like my surgeon comes in and he goes, "I'm so excited for you." He's like, he's like, "Dude, your recovery is going to be so well." He's like, "Your whole life is back." He's like, "I'm really excited for you." This guy was like a father figure, bro, the surgeon. Such a great and happy guy. And he was right, dude. Just within 2 weeks after, like, I just got up, dude, and I just started to go. And I started my routine. And I got back on my bike. You know what I mean? And I started to, hit up the coffee shops, and I'm having a routine. And bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The first day where I just felt normal, bro, like I had a moment, bro. It was like an liberating feeling, bro. I'm like, man, like I've taken so much for granted, bro. Just being able to have sunshine on your face and be outside because I was in bed for 100 days. And I'm like, this is so fucking trippy, bro. It's like the first time walking, bro, and you just go, holy fuck, you got this new fucking perspective about life, and you go, wow, dude, like I'm gonna stop taking this fucking shit for granted, like for real, like stop fucking dwelling, dude. Stop fucking living in the fucking past in your head, dude. Because life is not that fucking bad, my friends, and your life is beautiful, and it's so short lived. Just be fucking happy because it's a choice, because it can all happen like that. I never thought it could happen to me, and you don't think it can happen to you. But just get out of your fucking head, man, and be happy.
I fucking love that. You're 100% right, man. It just sucks. Like I've talked to other people on the stream and the conversations. And in all honesty, the main reason I've been trying to do this, like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just making content." Yes, I'm making content. Yes, this is fun. This is my excuse because I was never the type of person. No, I haven't been the type of person in a very long time. I used to use the excuse that it was COVID that got everyone to be a secluse and not want to conversate with people or socialize, and I used to use that as my excuse. That was it. But in all honesty, even before that, I was diving into that, and I was cutting myself off, not from just people that I didn't get along with that I knew personally, but just from society itself. I realized that I wasn't making an attempt to make new friends or to keep in touch with my friends. I noticed that I wasn't making an attempt to do anything new or progressive or productive. You know what I mean? And it took a lot of bad shit happening for me to start having a new appreciation on things, and the more I talk to people, the more I start understanding that I'm not alone. You know, there's other people that think like me, but they go about it in a different way. Their way of disconnecting or recharging or cutting themselves off from those people or that type of energy is a totally different process for them compared to what it is for me. You know, and
Totally.
I just, if you take the time to really look at it, you start noticing the similarities and you ignore the differences and you start gravitating to people more, you know. But it's one of those things that, you know, I do notice that more, you know, with the things that I've been through in my life, or if not hearing people's stories like such as yourself or other people that I've talked to, I'm like, damn, yo, you think you got it bad until you meet someone else who has it worse, you know. And it's one of those things that you look at your kids, you look at your job, you look at your bank account, you look at where you live, you look at your whole life, and you have a different appreciation for it. You know what I mean? You're grateful, you're thankful, and you tell yourself like, yo, things could be worse. You think you got it bad, but you know, it could be, you could have no job, you could have a health condition that you can't afford to take care of, or that you don't understand what it is. And you know, it's so when it's I hear things like that, or I see people in your situation, man, who are going through it but still manage to find some positivity in it, still manage to have a smile on your face, and still make posts like, you know, I'm having a good day regardless of whatever the fuck is going on, and I'm past the bad parts. You know, to see yourself being able to look at that side of things, it gives me hope, and it makes me do the same shit. It makes me tell myself, yo, shut the fuck up, stop complaining. Look at this motherfucker. He literally got his neck cut off, and you're sitting here bitching and complaining because your car won't start. Like, motherfucker, like, you know, be happy. Look at the sun, you know, smile. Look at the bird go by. You know what I mean? Like, but I hear you, man. Is this something? It's just a hereditary thing, right? There's nothing that causes this besides like it's just passed down, or is there something that you can do to avoid it happening, or avoid? Because I really don't know about it, so it's like, is there something that you eat or do that activates this in your DNA, or?
Let me tell you about it. What's very interesting. What can anybody can get what I had, this autoimmune disease, by, because it can be passed on from the way that you manage stress. Okay. And you're somebody who went through a lot of stress and you don't manage it well, right? It makes sense because my upbringing was also very tough, man. I went through a lot of traumatic things as well. So I'm sure that also played a part into it. So it's the way that you store stress in your body. One of the things that my doctors always said to me, all these specialists that I'm seeing, they're like, your nervous central system is so frantic. It's completely just crazy. Like it's just, when we see it in the charts, like, there's so much anxiety. I'm like, no kidding. Like, who want to be anxious about what I was going through? But they're like, no, this is the way that you manage it. So here's the interesting thing about all this, and I want to educate people on like the clarity part of what really scientifically had changed with my body and everything inside of me, man, and the way that you think and process. Like, your thyroid is responsible for your anxiety, your thinking, your metabolism. It's this organ that you need, that functions, right, that distributes these chemicals that go down through T4 and T3, and like kind of like just distribute these right chemicals into your body and the functionality of your heart. That mind, like, dude, I used to just have like, my behavior was like, I don't know the way to put it. Like, the way that I would think about stuff or act on stuff. Like, I was always very anxious. I was always a very anxious person. Dude, now I'm like very chill and calm. You know what I mean? I don't have a lot of anxiety anymore, and it makes sense because I now take a synthetic hormone that acts as my thyroid. I've only been taking it for a month, and its job is to be like the thyroid and distribute these chemicals. But really, I don't have a thyroid anymore, bro. So it makes sense why I'm chill and I'm calm, and my thinking is not erratic anymore, and I'm making impulsive decisions. So the way you can get it, if you don't manage stress really well, and you take on all the stress and worry. So what it is in a nutshell, the way that I can articulate it to you is that your own body is attacking its own cells. And that's what it is. It's your body like attacking its own cells, and it's fighting against yourself, which is actually very profound when you think about it in that way. All this chaos and chaotic, thoughts and overwhelmed thoughts and thinking, man, it's like that's manifested into the cells inside your body, bro. And it's like attacking its own organs, which is like absolutely nutty.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, when you think about it, it is kind of messed up. In order for it to survive or for it to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's attacking itself. That's kind of it's crazy.
I said to my doctor, I just saw like my endocrinologist. I said, shoot it to me straight. What could have really happened to me? He's like, now that I could tell you what would have happened to you. He's like, if you didn't come in and you didn't like recognize like, what you were feeling, he's like, this is what would have happened. You would have had a heart attack and you could have died. Okay. He's like, where your heart was for so long, Mike, and your heart rate was so dang high that he's like, you were this close to a heart attack. That's how close you were. I was like, dude, that's scary. He said, yeah. And on top of that, they found cancer. They found a very, very, very small speck of cancer on my thyroid. And that got removed with the thyroid. I said, there's nothing to worry about. So we caught that. And it didn't even spread or grow. I was like, oh, that's a kicker as well. Like, that's insane. You guys found cancer. So
And was that a cause of anything like smoking or anything like that? That's the other thing. Like, are you a smoker or?
I used to be. I used to smoke nicotine for years, dude. I no longer smoke. I quit. I quit nicotine last year. When I got sick, I also kicked caffeine. I went on a low iodine anti-inflammatory diet. I kicked junk food and sugars and all that stuff. But yeah, I quit smoking last year. But I smoked all of my life, so it would make a lot of sense, dude. You know why certain things played into it.
Damn, man. And yeah, because I was gonna say if there's, you would think like if like there's something that would help avoid it, but it's like you said, it's like an hereditary thing, and it's
It is.
things like that really suck because even if you go and get checked, it's one of those things that just can pop up. You know what I mean? It could just be sneaking around, hiding in you somewhere, and you don't even know, bro, until like, and it's those things that a lot of people don't believe it. I used to be one of those people that used to be like, oh, that's bullshit, that stress or anxiety can cause this. And it's true, bro. Like you'd be surprised how your body reacts to stress and anxiety and how it triggers things in your body to start releasing, start, activating and whatnot, and your body might not even be able to handle it or protect itself like it's supposed to, despite whether you're healthy or not. It's crazy.
I can get into a whole other story with you, how I used to live, dude. But I just make it real short. Like my upbringing was really hard. I used to be a very depressed kid growing up, and I had a really, really, really hard upbringing. And I lived a lot of years depressed, bro. And there was a major shift that happened where I learned to be happy in my own terms. But like I'm just opposite person now, dude. Like I really enjoy my life, dude. I really love my life, dude. I'm the happiest I've ever been, man, because of this situation. But yeah, if you don't manage stress, and I know, understand that men go through this stigma. It's like I don't want to go to the doctor, but listen, it's better to go get regularly checked up now if you're in your mid 30s, because a lot of men, a lot of health issues happen now in your mid 30s. I know it can be a scary thing, but think about it in the retrospect. If you do it now and there's something scary, like even that I went through, at least you can catch it now before it's way too late. A lot of people who have Graves' disease were in their 60s, okay, and 70s. And here, I'll throw it at you like this in perspective. My endocrinologist told me during COVID, remember when we were all locked in our houses? People had Graves' disease. They couldn't go to the doctors. Guess what was happening to patients with Graves' disease? They're in their 60s and 70s. A couple of them died because they couldn't go and get the treatment from the doctors. You know what I mean? So do it now, like you're young, and God forbid if you do have something, know that Western medicine, all that stuff, man, it's able to help you right now. So I encourage a lot of my friends, just go get checked out. Just do it. Trust me, you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. With the people that are watching right now, we got 19 people tuning in right now across YouTube, Twitch, and X. Thank you guys for tuning in and showing love. Really appreciate it. But yes, 100%, like Mike is saying, it's best to go and get checked now, and try to get ahead of something. I'm pretty sure, like many people, I myself hate going to the doctor for the fear of finding out I got some shit I don't want to know I got. So like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like
It is.
it's like the check engine light. Like you know it's there, but you really don't want to. You know what I mean? You don't want to go and get it checked out. You know something's wrong. You hear the rattling in the engine, but you're like, you know what? That's an expense that I really can't afford right now. So let's just ignore it. You know what I mean? But we're not cars. We don't have any. We don't have any fucking insurance value on us or nothing like that. That's gonna help us, you know, get back on it if something breaks down. You know what I mean? And we trying to avoid getting cut up and all that also as well as much as we can because you know we got to keep our bodies in tip top shape. But you know, if you can avoid it, man, it's best to go. It's better to go now and find out exactly what's going on than to find out unexpectedly one day when you can't get up out of bed and you fall flat in your face. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
make sure you guys are checking that out. Not only that, man, eat healthy. I know it's hard, man. I know it's hard to eat healthy, be healthy, exercise, but not only just physically and you know with your food and all that, but also mentally. Make sure that the people that you're surrounding yourself with are positive also, and they're not draining you of anything and causing you stress or anxiety, man, because that's another thing that I'm one of them. I didn't think that was true, man, and I was having a lot of medical issues, and when I went and got checked, it was a lot of it was because of stupid shit like stress and anxiety, and it's things that if you make the small little changes today, they'll make a big difference later on in the future, man. So
So true on that, man.
So, Mike, is there anything else you want to share with us, man? Anything you got cooking up, or anything that you're looking forward to, or you know, we did VCon last year. Are you planning to go this year?
With that, yes, that's right. We're doing VCon, but what I'm doing, and I just decided that I'm going to do it for one, like, go out there and live your fucking life, dude. I'm coming to New York City for NFT week, bro. I'm
Nice.
gonna fucking be there, bro. And I want to see all of you at the VeeFriend Secret Wine Party. So if you're in New York, man, let's link up. I'll be there for a few days, and I just want to hang out and enjoy life.
Yes, I'm with you, man. I'm in Long Island, New York. I'm really gonna try my best to make it there. I know it's a secret thing. I tried making it to the other ones and I always sucked. I always got there way too late. So I'm really planning ahead this time, being that they kind of gave a little more than a little heads up. But I'm definitely gonna be out there. Also, NFT NYC. I'm trying to get out there and you know talk to people and anyone from creators, artists, project creators, you know, people in the communities, you know, anyone in the VeeFriends community who's going to be out there. I still haven't found a way to get access into the event, but I know that there's a lot of free events that are going to be floating around. So whatever I could do just to meet people, even if it's to get a bite or a drink or whatever, I'm down for it. So if you're out here, man, let me know. We could definitely meet up and you know do round 2 of this and see what's going on.
That's what it's about. Yeah, totally. And I'm not going to do the like actual like event. I'm doing the same thing. Like right here, Kat, she's doing one of her events as well, and I'll link you up with that as well. The VeeFriends wine event is free. I'll give you the proper link where you just do RS VP. It's free for anybody. I think a lot of
Yes,
people,
I need that.
yeah, you need to sign up with your name, and then they'll drop the location and everything the day of for the event. There's little Maven, so a few of you out there, like, let's link up and let's go get some lunch and hang out and have some funny laughs and some good times and create some really awesome memories together.
100%, man. I agree with you, man. All right, man. Thank you, Mike, for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by, sharing your story. Anybody who wants to go show Mike some love, make sure that you check out any of the information of his social media links that I'm going to have in the description of wherever you're watching this stream. If you're watching live and you tuned in on the chat, thank you very much. Dreams, not enough. Thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the raid. I really appreciate that. Everybody else who tuned in on YouTube, Twitch, and X, we really appreciate you. Much love. I hope you're all doing well. Stay positive. Stay safe. See you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.